2021 was the worst year of my life. Now I would say that because there were a lot of things that happened during that year. So let me tell it to you. 2021 was time of COVID, and I was around 15 years old, 14, 15 years old. And what happened was I got to the lowest point in my life. I was fat. I was eating donuts left and right. I even had overthinking tendencies when it comes to my PC when I this is a weird example, but I installed this emulator called BlueStacks and I was playing Call of Duty, and it was this one thing that I was so frustrated about that I didn't had the key mapping spot on. And the key map is basically you add controls to the kind of PC so that you can control it with your keyboard. And I was just fixated on petty and meaningless things, and that really sapped my energy. And I was lazy. I was addicted to Netflix. I was binge watching Breaking Bad back then. And so, what did I expect? Fourth quarter, ninth grade, grade 9, I was a chronic procrastinator. I was just lazy, lounging around, not doing anything, just laying on my sofa and my bed, just wasting my life. I was basically living an empty life back then. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was also devoid of social connections. That didn't help either. And so it was hard. But the bombshell, the thing that I expected, but I was still kind of numb back then because I kind of expected it, but I didn't know what to feel. Because what happened was when I received my final grades on ninth grade, for the first time in my life, I got C's. In the American grading system, that is, C. But here in the Philippines, I got just in the grade of passing, which is 75. And 75 means you just passed that subject. Yeah, 75. But not in all subjects. In some subjects that I didn't pass my outputs on, I got super lazy in passing my requirements in Google Classroom. And so what did I expect? I almost failed those subjects, and it becomes apparent to me that procrastination is a big problem at that time. And because of this, my parents were pissed off about this and actually gave me a choice whether I would still, if I still procrastinated, if I still delayed doing my outputs on time, didn't pass it on Google Classroom or any modality, I would shift school. Which the thought of it just scared or haunt me. It was scary. And so the other option was if I passed it on time, things would go as usual. I would go to senior high school in a public school in our town, and life will just go on. And so what eventually happened was the second option, which I still had the public school option open. And so at 11th grade, at senior high school, I was on a public school. And how did that happen? Well, 10th grade, I still struggled with passing my outputs on time. First quarter. And my parents are noticing that, well, why are you not passing your outputs on time? Like, there's this one time where me and my other classmate were the only ones who didn't pass outputs on time. And we still haven't passed, like, I think it was 8 weeks in one quarter, and I didn't pass any outputs on on those 8 weeks. So we had to do this one project or output together, and for me, deep down, it was embarrassing because I let that happen. You know, it was hard, you know, to be in that constant state of negative thoughts, just, you know, sabotaging myself, and my identity was challenged for a long, long time. I have known myself to become a straight A student. My identity was fixed on line of nines: 91, 92, 95, 97, 94. All subjects were line of nines. I didn't expect some to have line of sevens, just what happened in ninth grade. And so, miraculously, 10th grade, motivation levels kicked in, and I was able to get line of nines in all subjects. So that was good. And moving on to 11th grade, this is where life started to be good to me. And what happened was face to face classes. Just that one shift, face to face classes, from online class going to face classes, was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And that one shift is the only thing that I needed, so that self improvement kind of snowballed from there. So, 11th grade was where I discovered the power of social connection. Like, literally, the whole pandemic, I wasn't chatting with anyone. Like, my social connection was almost zero. I was just basically talking to my mom, and that was it. That was all I was doing. I wasn't like chatting on Messenger or any other DM platforms on how my classmates were doing, because I wasn't close to them. I didn't have like a close friend that I could like share my problems or thoughts with. That was sad. So I was lonely, and it was a dark period of my life. But I redeemed myself. That one shift face to face classes was the only like shift that I needed, so that I would be back on track to self improvement. And so what 11th grade showed me was that it's not over yet. It's like, before this, I kind of like thought to myself, man, can I still become straight A student? Like, I know that I had line of nines in grade 10, but that was because online classes, like, my teachers were lenient on the outputs, and they were giving high grades even though you had a mediocre output. So I thought to myself, this would be a lot more challenging. But I succeeded. 11th grade, I had a lot of realizations, and one of which is, face to face classes is way better for me to learn about different subjects. And that's just because the teachers, the two-way feedback of teachers and students, that really helped me to sink in all of the information. Um, and also, what also helped was my one classmate who was very smart, by the way. I'm not gonna tell his name, but I would say that he really made me inspired and motivated to go on this path of self improvement. Like, this guy was very smart at math. Like, there's just one time at this subject, pre-calculus. It was like a refresher, no, no, not a refresher. It's like an introduction to calculus, and like this guy, he gets like perfect grades in the exams, like without a formula in an index card. There was this one time where I got to see his index card. And do you know what is in his index card? Guess what? It's Bible verse. Like, literally, all of us, except for him, had formulas written down so that we would remember what formulas we would write and we would remember in the actual exam. But him, he only has a Bible verse in his index card. And so, you know, so I was thinking, like, wow, that's just insane confidence that he has. And he proves it, you know. As I've learned his story, he was actually competing in math competitions, and he has a lot of experience when it comes to solving math problems. So that really goes to show that, you know, it's just practice. And going forward, I was a lot more motivated, and straight A's, well, that didn't come easy in senior high school because I mean, it was still lenient when it comes to giving grades, but it wasn't as lenient as online classes. And so what happened was, I got line of nines, but it wasn't like 95 and up. It was like the lower 95-ish. In the American grading system, it was like an A minus or A. But it was still good because all of it was things that I would treasure, because there were more, group activities, because it was face-to-face classes, or there was role plays, there was reports. It was good. It was really, really good for my mental health. And as for my physical health, that actually improved too. Like in the pandemic, I thought I was gonna stay fat forever. Like I reached like the highest weight that I could ever reach, 89 kilos. And my BMI was like 30, so I was classified as obese. But that all changed in face-to-face classes, because I remember this like ritual. This is not really a ritual, but like it was a practice that we were always doing so that we can save fares in the tricycle. We would walk like 4 kilometers or something, I don't know, from our school to a mall. And this mall was like this mall was where my dad would always go to pick me up, and then we would come home. So that was like our meeting place. Me and my dad would always meet up at Walter. Yeah, that was the name of the mall here in the Philippines. It's called Walter Mart. And it was good. That walking from school to Walter Mart, it was pretty far if you would like look at it in Google Maps. But so yeah, from school to Walter Mart, I was always walking with some of my classmates, which eventually became my friends. But I will not classify them as best friends. We still had like our differences, but we did bonded over and just talked over a lot of stuff while walking. So that was important. Like those times when we were just talking and talking while walking, just having these interesting conversations with each other really helped to like not make the walk boring, or just like, oh man, why is this so long, like something like that. It was a lot more shorter than I thought, because we were entertained by each other's stories. And so face-to-face classes, it was really the turning point for my whole life, because I also went on YouTube and I discovered self-improvement videos, which was not the first time, by the way, because back then I was consuming self-improvement videos, but that didn't stick to me. Like, I was a chronic procrastinator while watching a video on how to stop procrastinating. That still didn't stick to me or resonate with me as much as 11th or 12th grade, when I discovered self-improvement that is just no BS and just straight to the point. Take action, or something like that kind of video. And it really helped, and self-improvement snowballed from there, and I started to read books. I started to become more serious about calisthenics, home workout. I was doing that a lot more, and I was just socializing more. Like, I was talking more. I was actually going to to the next classroom so that I would talk to my friends and actually play games together. Back then, I was actually playing Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Eventually, I stopped though. It was becoming very boring, and the problem with the game, especially Genshin, which is the one that I was grinding on, was the gacha system, and also the fact that you need to farm to get resources and to level up your character. So it was becoming a lot more boring. So I quit that. You know. And so why did I tell you this story? To achieve straight A's, it is important that you ask yourself questions and become introspective. And achieving straight A's is not just about tactics, it's about your identity. Now I know that you have thoughts like, ah man, I was just, I was struggling at math all this time, so why would I expect to be, you know, have the output to be different? How would I be good at math when in the past I just flunked at it? I failed at it. Or, that guy's good at math because he's rich and he has a lot of resources, because his parents are buying him textbooks and presentations on his laptop, So it's unfair. And yes, it is unfair. But you need to actually ask yourself more questions about, you know, achieving straight A's. And this important question is the thing that you need to answer. Do you deserve to get straight A's? Look at your lifestyle. Are you the one who deserves to get that straight A's, the line of nines, when your sleep is shit, when you're only getting like 6 hours of sleep or less, you're sleep deprived, or you're eating junk food that gives you brain fog so that you can't focus on your outputs or the teacher lecturing in front of you, right? So look at that. Is your sleep good? Because if it's not, fix that first. Diet. Don't eat too much junk food, right? Because it's gonna give you brain fog. And, the point is, achieving straight is not just about tactics, it's about your lifestyle. Aside from identity, you need to look deeper into your life and actually examine your lifestyle. Because straight A students do really care about their health. It's not just about tactics, it's about their physical and mental health. And so, as a straight A student, you need to fix your sleep, first of all. Because me and you have experienced this a lot, We have this output, I think we were making a diorama back then. And it was like the first time in my life where I pulled an all-nighter. So, I think I only slept like 30 minutes back then because we had to rush the diorama. And I just felt very, very bad, and my stomach was growling like crazy. My eye bags were showing up like, ugh. It was just, I feel sluggish as hell. And the next day we had like a first subject where we had an exam. Like we were like looking at the questions, and my eyes just, it barely opened. So I couldn't focus. Because sleep is the foundation, right? It makes sense. Like, fix your sleep. Is that important? When you want good grades, you need to get like good quality sleep, not just the length, like 7 or 8 hours. You need to also make it so that you would sleep way better than, just staying up late in bed, or, rolling and tossing around. You can't sleep. So you need to make your environment conducive to sleeping. So that includes like turning off every light in your room, maybe investing in dark curtains or blinds, and having an eye mask, or this kind of things. You need to protect your sleep. It's so important. That's where the magic happens, where repair in your body happens. So aside from sleep, the typical student overindulges in social media. it's obvious. Like social media, too much of it is going to distract you. And so you need to also look at your phone habits or your laptop habits, your screen time, on where do you put your energy into, what apps. If you see it social media, like you now know you need to limit your usage of it. And so getting straight A starts with lifestyle, for sure. And once you nail that down, the lifestyle, you need to move on to mindset. You need to like destroy your limiting beliefs about your performance, how you look at school, how you look at your classmates, how you look at subjects like math. Like most people really despise math and they just have an automatic limiting belief of I'm just bad at math. I can't be good at it. But like is there any validity to that if you haven't actually tried and practiced, you know, solving math problems? I mean, I had this limiting belief back then as well. But the brain is so good at making excuses and, instilling limiting beliefs, and you're being unconscious about it. And so you're just believing it anyways. You don't dare to question it. That is dangerous. And so aside from lifestyle, you also need to change your mindset. You need to ask yourself the question, do you deserve to become a straight A student if you have these limiting beliefs that I can't get good grades? Well, you should also examine yourself first and how you look at school. Okay, first of all. And it's actually very hard, if I'm being honest with you, to change your beliefs because your beliefs have been like challenged. It's been tested a lot by your family and friends, and they have been like filling you with these beliefs that you're not even conscious about, and you're just believing them. So a lot of introspectiveness and questioning and putting it in a journal notebook, just the act of journaling, it is so important, you know. And so to become an academic weapon, to achieve straight A's, you need to have a really strong mindset about academics. And I like this mindset a lot. You work hard and you also play hard. And so I think I've learned this from How to Become a Straight A Student by Cal Newport, where a lot of people, including me, I am a victim of this a lot. I still I still admit that, is that we do a lot of pseudo work. And what pseudo work means is that we have been doing work for long periods of time, but we are not focused. And so if you look at it at a time and intensity scale, our time is like a 10, but our intensity is a 3, right? So for example, we work for 10 hours, but our focus on solving math problems is only a 3 because we are diverting our attention to YouTube or social media. You check Facebook while you're solving math problems. You're jumping back in between watching, YouTube videos while you're solving math problems. You're not focused at all. Yes, you studied for 10 hours, but is that really productive? Is that whole span of 10 hours actually productive to you? Like, we're seeing a lot of trends on YouTube where, the main trend is to study for 10 hours or longer, And so it's not the best way. It's not the best way to study. And so we need to flip the script, and in a time intensity scale, we want the time to be compressed. So for example, we only work for 3 hours, but our intensity is at 10. We are super focused, we're not distracted, we're only focused on a single task. And so that would be the much better way to study. And so work hard, play hard. The best thing about this is that you have a lot more time to invest in your hobbies and your, friends. If you only study for 3 hours and you have an intensity of like 10 or above that, you have a lot more time now after working or studying to socialize, to gala gala, it's what they say. And so really consider that mindset is that you're actually way better off to compress your study hours and to focus on it so much and cultivate deep work. It's a great skill to pick up. I'm still not quite there, but we're always improving and I'm not perfect as well. And so now lifestyle, mindset. But what about study strategies? This is going to be a lot more specific. If you really want to succeed in, school and, to retain information from your material much better, how are you going to do that? Well, if you're being tested by using quizzes and test exams, you also want to do that. You want to quiz yourself, test yourself before the actual quiz or test itself. This is called active recall, where you actively use your brain to retrieve information from your brain, and you just do it over and over again until you kind of master it. It's that efficient. It's not like you're gonna reread the textbook or the material and you're just gonna forget it after a couple of hours. It's a lot more efficient, active recall. And so I use flashcards. Digital flashcards like Anki is very useful in this case. I've been using it heavily and extensively for this, past months when I was in first year college. It really helped me a lot, especially in the term definition part. It is very helpful, for sure. And aside from active recall, I also use ChatGPT to generate practice papers. I just send it the material that your professor sends to me, and I just add it to ChatGPT and I ask it a prompt to say, "Hey ChatGPT, make a 30-item multiple choice questions. Also add true or false. Also add enumeration. Also add identification." You can just be creative in this. And you can also ask it open-ended questions for subjects like history, which are a lot more, non-technical in this case. History, arts, literature. And you can ask it questions, open-ended questions that really challenge your understanding and your comprehension on a certain topic. And so yeah, that concludes this video on achieving straight A's. It is not all about strategies. It is a holistic approach where you also include your lifestyle, your mindset. I don't know. I mean, it's really honestly that simple. Achieving straight A's is about focusing on the things that truly matter, not wasting time on the things that don't matter. You're eliminating, you're focused, and you're always in a flow state. You're so happy and fulfilled after doing a certain task. And it's actually not that complicated, achieving straight A's. It all just boils down to a lot of practice and just, a good mindset. I think that's actually what matters the most above strategies and above lifestyle. Your mental health and your mindset. Like, what do you actually believe in, and your kind of motivation, purpose for studying. So yeah, that's it for this video. Goodbye.